into the holy city, Jerusalem. Lindsey, that will mean a lot to you. May the choir of angels receive you, and with Lazarus, once a beggar, mayest thou have eternal life. Those are the last words as the person is taken from church to be delivered over. And these are prayers directed way beyond the church, way beyond the earth, to the place where we will all go. Lindsey will be greeted there with great love, because this was an exceptionally good man. And we are the ones suffering because we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him on the strategic issues that we're going to talk about now and have, but we're also going to miss him as a friend. So many are. I'm just one included among so many. I met him through John McCain back when he was still in Congress. Worked with him, oh my goodness, very, very closely. Worked against him. He worked against me when I ran for president. He supported John McCain, although had John lost, he was going to endorse me. John had dropped out, and there was a real chance that he was going to drop out. And then I worked closely with him in 2016, trying to do the best we could to patch up the relationship between President Trump and John McCain. And I've played golf with him. I've spent hours talking to him. And at any time, God forbid he died, I'd have missed him. But it's very, very sad that it happens right now, as the things that he's worked a lifetime on are coming to fruition. And where his advice, sage advice, would be very, 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 very much desired. Well, let's talk about sports a little. The World Cup is going to deliver 4 teams that are, and apparently this is the first time ever, it's a little hard to believe, it's going to deliver the 4 teams that were originally the top 4 ranked teams.
Yeah, that's interesting.
France, right? And Spain, and England, and Argentina. And they described the France versus Spain match, and then the England versus Argentina match. The first one is France against Spain. That'll be tomorrow night, right?
Yep.
And they describe that as a intellectual, technical, and tactical match between chess players. And then they say the second one, between England and Argentina, described as a no-holds-barred mud wrestling contest with a side of psychological war. And these 2 teams have ill will against each other, going back to a World Cup that may have been before I was born. It goes back to a World Cup 40 years ago, when at the very last minute, Argentina defeated England on a goal by Diego Maradona. Now, Maradona was the Messi of his day. And if Messi is the best soccer player, it would be Pele and or Maradona who he would replace. They would be the 2 other contestants for it. And the English apparently still remember, and I guess there was some, if they refereed that game the way they referee in general, they can't referee a game without creating issues for the referees, right? I mean, they can't. I mean, Argentina, you can see what a great team they are. It's a shame they won the way they won. They beat a team that heroically played with 1 man down for 40 minutes. and gave up one goal, and then a sort of after the game is over goal. That always seems to happen.
Did you say this is the first time it's ever happened?
That's what it says.
Yeah, it's right here. It is. We got the graphic.
And just in case you want to know,
Who are you rooting for, Mayor?
oh, I don't know. Let me see.
Argentina and England play each other,
Argentina.
and then that game is on the 15th.
Only because
tomorrow Spain and France.
I like the head of state there the best.
Right. But tomorrow Spain and France will play.
Maybe they'll both lose.
So you have no faith of those four.
I think France. I don't know. I think France will beat them. But as they say here, that's going to be
So you think it'll be a French?
The first semifinal in Dallas on Tuesday.
Yep.
Pits two of the most technically and tactically sophisticated teams at the tournament against each other in a duel that feels more like a chess match. The other half of the bracket definitely won't be mistaken for a chess match.
Argentina.
This one is closer to a bout of no holes barred mud wrestling with a side of psychological warfare. Maybe the president wants to move that one to the White House. And that one is going to be, the first one is going to be in Texas, right? In Dallas. And the second one is going to be in Miami. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. And then they all come up for the game. And the big one at MetLife Stadium.
MetLife will be
home
on
of the Jets
Saturday.
and the Gents. The winner of everything else is kind of ignored now. The winner of Wimbledon is Alexander. Can you pronounce it? Zverev? Zverev
That's right.
of Germany.
Oh, German. It sounds Ukrainian.
That doesn't sound like a German name. And Linda Noskova, which is a lot easier to pronounce, beat Carolina Muchova. That's much easier to read. So that's the sports news. And am I correct that tomorrow night, and nobody even paying attention to it, tomorrow night is the All-Star game?
That's right. This is we're behind a little bit, but that's the Wimbledon winner right there.
Yeah. Now, what do you think, Ted, the standings will be, or the turnout, the audience will be, ratings will be for?
Yeah, people don't even know what's happening.
But the All-Star game, I don't know, does the All-Star game get good ratings? It's become kind of boring.
Tomorrow at 8 p.m.
So what are they watching? They watching a soccer match or the All-Star game?
Let's see. So it's tomorrow at 8 p.m. World Cup soccer.
So then tonight is the
Home Run Derby.
The Home Run Derby, right?
So the next game is for tomorrow for anyone who wants to watch the World Cup. That will be 3 p.m.
What?
France and Spain at 3 p.m.
Oh, well, then it won't be over. Then it won't be overlapping.
No, that's smart by the.
That's very interesting.
So those are the starting lineup for anyone.
Well, that's because they're watching it worldwide, and the American audience probably isn't the most significant audience in many ways, right?
Right. Probably not.
We think we are, but we're probably not.
Especially since
we're certainly not the most interested audience. Well, has there been, while I cover what's going on in Ukraine and Iran, would you go check and see if Henry McMaster has made a decision?
Oh, good question. We do have.
Has Henry McMaster made a decision on the? Apparently, Henry and I think with the president's concurrence has decided to do what a lot of the governors are doing now, which is to some states actually I think even have it as a matter of law. I don't know if they do, and that is that the appointment that you make to the Senate is an interim appointment. In other words, the person you appoint now cannot run for this seat. He can run 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 6, but not now, so that the governor doesn't end up giving the guy or the woman a big bounce.
Breaking news, Mayor: the governor has chosen Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, to serve out the remainder of.
Well, see if you can get she made remarks about how he took care of her since she was a child. It goes back a bit. It was when he was running for president, I think. But they did play it. You know, he lost his mother and father as a teenager. And he took care of his sister, who was about 7 years younger. Took care of her to the point of putting her through school and then eventually adopting her. And she adores him, as you would imagine. And it gives you a sense, maybe we should have included that in the pleas that we put before the Almighty for him. That's going to get you a nice place in heaven for doing that.
So this is just breaking, and I think we have some sound.
Well, if you have it, there she is.
One thing I've never heard Lindsey described as is irresistible. So, okay, we'll just start with that. But first, I would like to thank everyone who has called and reached out over the past couple of days. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me and our family. I know Lindsey was loved and respected by many, and I greatly appreciate the memories and even the funny stories that have been shared. These shared experiences, along with our faith, have gotten us through these past 2 very difficult days. Next, I want to thank the governor for selecting me to serve the remainder of Lindsey's term. It is such an honor. Lindsey has always been there for me, and now I will be there for him. My brother was the most amazing person, outstanding leader, and just a genuinely good man.
Accepting?
Yep, this is her accepting, Mayor.
Well, that's very nice. That was very, very nice. And I think that was a very smart choice by Henry McMaster. I don't know if it's required by law. I don't think so. I think there are states, again, that I said, that now have initiated the practice. If the governor makes an appointment, that person is disqualified for that cycle, not any other. So Russia and Ukraine situation seems every day to be shifting more in favor of Ukraine, which of course would make our dearly departed friend very happy, who felt that despite the equities on both sides and everybody arguing and other whether we belong there or we don't belong there or not or whatever, two things would have affected Lindsey very much. And I can say this because we had numerous conversations, and I don't know that we ever disagreed much on these issues, because I think we look at the world kind of the same way in this area. And that is that, number one, what Putin did was dastardly. He invaded another country. And that other country wasn't threatening him in any way. He just wanted it. So when you say we invaded or attacked Iran, that's after 47 years of killing us. That's after 47 years of even declaring war on us. That's after 47 years of listening to them every Friday say death to America, including now. The president enters into a ceasefire negotiation with them, and they have a big rally in the middle of Tehran or Mashhad or wherever saying, kill Trump, kill Hegseth. Probably would have liked to kill Graham too. Tried to kill me twice. Why wouldn't they try to kill him? So it seems to me on both wars, the president has turned up the ignition and believes that more pressure is needed to end them. So let's take Ukraine first. The decisive moment, people say, and we'll find out, decisive moments and turning point moments happen after a game or a war is over. And you figure out who won it. But the meeting between the president and Zelensky in Ankara appears to have worked to the extent that the president is willing to give him the one thing that he needs where Russia has an advantage because they've lost all their other advantages. the progress they're making in Donbass and in the other places where they're trying to inch out a little more territory almost isn't worth it. They're losing, they're gaining a little territory. They're losing soldiers 8-1. They're losing soldiers to such an extent they can't replace on a soldier for soldier basis. And it's reverberating back home in that people don't want to go to war. The war has no purpose. Ukraine didn't attack them. I mean, Ukraine was years away from joining NATO, if at all, and not as many years, but years away from joining EU. And it may never have happened. And there were lots of ways to lobby against that, particularly with the economic pressure that Putin had on Germany, who he had a very close relationship with, and some others. There was just no necessity to do that, to kill all those people. And you would think this thing had been over with a long time ago if you had any regard for human life. So all of the markers are now in Ukraine's favor, but one. So when the president said, a year and a half ago or so, that Zelensky had no cards, right? Zelensky has all but one card now. He's defeating them on the battlefield in the sense of they are losing an awful lot and gaining very little territory, if any. Second, they're getting pounded deep in Russia, much deeper than ever before, including the two major cities whose population has found out that Russia is at war: Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then also he's gone well into the middle of Russia, not quite the middle, but the dividing point between Russia and Asia, and attacked Omsk, which brings the war home. What also brings the war home is 3 years of excellent focus on their energy supply. And this has been going on at some level for about a year now, but now it's becoming critical in various parts of Russia where people can't get gasoline and they're lined up. They can only get gasoline once every 10 days. It's also affecting, and they picked one place in occupied Ukraine. They picked Crimea, which is the place Russia wants the most. Brilliant choice. Is Crimea in play yet? Maybe. Lost all the tourists, lost people, population. It's sealed off and very hard to get supplies to it. The hope is it's going to lose population and the military is going to pull out because they may be so isolated they could be decimated. Let's see what happens. Why would that be important? Because I don't know that Ukraine would want to keep it, but it's a heck of a bargaining tool because in terms of putting back together the empire, the Russian Empire, it's the single most important piece. So we'll have to see what happens there. Putin and his people have created, out of nothing, significant leverage for themselves. What are they missing? What they're missing is they cannot intercept the most effective of the Russian ballistic missiles. They can intercept the drones, they can intercept the regular missiles, but they can't intercept the most effective of their intercontinental ballistic missiles, except if they have the American interceptor missile, and we have either not been giving it to them, or when we do give it to them, we hold it back in terms of how far it can go. I think it's the first, actually, but apparently the turning point at Ankara was the president agreed, and this would be with heavy support from both Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham, agreed to make it possible for them to have these missiles. Now, apparently they're going to get to manufacture them, I assume, in Ukraine. And he doesn't say it, but it will be with our help. We're going to give them the formula. Well, I think what that means is we're going to give them the people that help do it with his people. Now, the real question is, are they going to get a couple up front? Because they need them right now. We just start a factory and manufacture them. They move really fast. I mean, they got themselves into being mass producers of drones. Next year, they supposedly, overall, next year, they're going to have like 5 times the capacity to use drones that have done a tremendous amount of damage, even at the level they're at right now. So they can manufacture pretty quickly, but it's impossible to think that over the next 3 months or as we go into this winter, that they'll be ready. So we got to get a couple of them up front. And that, I think, will make the difference. And then the question is, does Putin have a cave in to the people around him? Or is this, is he willing to go down with the ship? I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
How soon, when we say something like, we're going to help train them how to build these things, how soon can that happen? From the time?
I think it's happening right now.
Okay. So they can get those things.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think we've already done some of that. We just haven't released it. I seem to remember, and they don't want to reemphasize, I seem to remember that we delivered them these missiles and told them they couldn't use them, until we released them. Some of them. Iran now has focused on a new theory, which is that they can accomplish everything they want in the world. Of course, they still want to be nuclear, but that this possession of the Strait of Hormuz gives them tremendous leverage over the whole world. So now their new demand is that they're not going to negotiate unless it's clear that they're going to control the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, and they say that's the way that Proposition 8 was written. We say it was written just the opposite. It was nobody's going to get to control it, but you can work out for you and Oman what you're going to do about it. They say when we said you can work it out with Oman, we conceded that they were going to get to control it in charge. Now, that's completely contrary to everything Trump was saying, the world community was saying, and how about international law? They are such terrible liars, which is why pursuing a agreement with them, if you're serious, is futile. Tehran is playing. It just figures if it can hold out, even if it's lost all of its. I think it's lost all of its air support capacity. It seems ridiculous. We do 500 attacks. They all go when they do attacks. I mean, one attack. We took out 55 of their drones. They don't take out any of ours. They don't hit any of our airplanes, any of our missiles. They don't have one. But they have now made it clear, and I think this came from seeing what happened by controlling the Strait of Hormuz. The pressure put on Trump by the rest of the world, the pressure on the price of gas, the pressure of the other countries angry that they have to pay more for gasoline, and then possible domestic political pressure. So they think if they can squeeze Hormuz, that's just as good as winning on the battlefield. And I think what all of our attacks, if you watch them carefully, the last 4 or 5, 300 strikes, 2 of the 300 have been aimed at cleaning up the Gulf of Hormuz. So it is no longer, they're no longer capable of shooting at anything from there. But they have made it clear. Ibrahim Azizi, who is the head of the Iranian Parliament's National Security Commission, says this is the only way we're going to negotiate. You have to recognize the new Iranian order in the Strait of Hormuz. We do. And Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf, who is the parliamentary speaker says the Strait of Hormuz will only open with Iranian arrangements, not American threats. So this is the last thing in the world. We want this war to end. We started this war and they didn't control the Gulf of Hormuz.
Right.
We're going to end the war and they're going to control 20% of the oil in the world, which means that, the third of the countries will be sucking the you-know-what. And there's no question, the president does this for a fact. This new regime has become, if possible, even more of a gangster regime. This is absolute gangster practice. It's you got to pay me. You got to pay me tolls for going past the Atlantic Ocean. It doesn't belong to you. There's also a kind of migration of a couple of the Gulf states. So Saudi Arabia, Qatar, you don't expect much from. And who was the third? Saudi Arabia, Oman, again. But Saudi Arabia was the shock. Sent representatives to the funeral of one of the leading murderers in the history of the world, or certainly one of the people who killed more of his own people than anyone but Mao and his predecessor. This is a guy they hated. This is a guy that's killed them. This is a guy that's attacked them. But they're sucking up because they're afraid, economically afraid. They're sort of backing up their bets here. It doesn't show great confidence in us.
Right.
Now, Emirates did not go.
UAE did not.
Bahrain did not go. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman.
I'm surprised Saudi Arabia went. Is the funeral over?
Yes. Well, so we have done several things that are very important. We've reestablished an hour and a half ago the blockade. We've reestablished the strictest sanctions to be had in place. So they'll be getting nothing unless they sneak around, and that will only realize a small amount of money from the sale of oil. And we will let through who we want to let through. It will not include them. So we'll have to see how that goes. And we probably waited until now because this week of bombing was intended to take out their ability to contest that. And now we'll find out how effective that was. One of the observers says the problem here is both the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran think they both won the war, but that one of them thinks they won the war, and the other one thinks they won the war, and that's why Iran thinks it should play hardball. Now, the conclusion of the author Yaroslav Trofimov, who is, see if I can get well, they don't really describe who he is, but in any event, here's what he says, and it makes a little sense. Iran's perception of itself as a new regional hegemon is delusional, given how much its military has been degraded, how much its network of proxy forces in the Middle East has been weakened, and how much its economy has been suffocated in recent months, said Salman al-Ansari, a Saudi geopolitical analyst. All it has left is bullying, piracy, noise, and the ability to act as a spoiler. And they sure are making the most of that. But I think that's a very accurate analysis. So let's take a short break, and we'll be back, and we'll find out. Poor AOC, she and all of her friends they're just treated awful here in America. It's just terrible. It's the worst time ever in the history of America. Huh? Well, we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnels to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Welcome back to the Rudy Giuliani Show. The AOC very recently, this is just a part of their whole selling point about unaffordability and is complaining that the country is in terrible shape. She says she knows why socialism is on the rise. Yeah. Well, she doesn't know because she's never read Karl Marx. That's why it's on the rise, or Stalin, or all the rest of them. But here's the explanation of the bartender. Millennials and Gen Z combined now for the first time are eclipsing the number of baby boomers. Young people overall feel a tremendous amount of betrayal about the world we've been left. No doubt they feel that way, a lot of them. The notion that millennials and Gen Z are toiling in a uniquely grueling economic era, however, is, as this writer says, I'll tell you what, it's been utterly delusional. One of the most popular myths is that the American middle class is being gutted. It's simply not true. In 1980, 36% of American families were middle class. Now only 31% are middle class. You say, oh, look at that. Except, where are they gone? That 5% that's gone from the middle class. They've gone to the upper middle class because the upper middle and more. The upper middle class, or in that time, has grown from 10% of households to 30% of households. Massive gain. So they didn't fall down, they went up. Real median income has not only grown across all classes over the past 40 years, but it zoomed past the rest of the Western world. Think about this now. I want you to just think about this. The average American family in Mississippi, which is not one of the most highly paid places, right? Now has a higher per capita GDP than the average French, British, or German family. So in one of the lower income areas, we've got more than the average French, British, or German family. Just ask any of the people that are coming for the World Cup, they'll tell you that. Housing has become far too expensive. But ownership rates are no lower today than they were in the 60s, the 70s, or the 90s, and most of the 80s. The home ownership rate in 1980 was 65.5%. Right now, it's 65.4%. So it's that 1/10 of 1% that's crying to AOC. The environment is cleaner today than it was in 30, 40, 50 years ago. Many rivers are usable that weren't. There's far less litter. An average household spends far less on clothing and food than their parents did as a percentage of their budget. Healthcare costs have risen. Some of it can be attributed to bad policy. It could, and mostly to Obamacare. But a lot of it reflects prosperity, that people can buy it. And also that we have to provide it for much longer because people are living much extended to much older ages, which affects Social Security. It also affects insurance. But I guess maybe she would like to kill them if they're Republicans. It'd be almost impossible to go over all the deadly diseases where we have reversed them or extended the period of time that people can live with them. Now, none of it's cheap, but it means that in terms of our health and safety, we're much better off. Vehicular deaths per 100,000 have been cut in half since 1980. Workplace fatalities have plummeted. And how about murders? Last year, there were 305 murders in New York, one of the lowest annual homicide totals ever. So people are getting run over by cars, which are the two ways, other than natural death, they usually die, or murdered, at rates 60, 70% lower than 30 years ago. But things are much worse. Maybe if you don't want to work, they're much worse. How many jobs in this country people don't take? And the recessions that we go through are shorter and almost insignificant compared to the even this situation now with the Gulf of Hormuz. The effect on the price of gasoline was much, much less than it's been in the past, like 70 or 80% less. So yes, the world has gotten better. She's not facing anywhere near as much as her parents and grandparents faced, but she's a spoiled, uneducated, not terribly naturally bright individual who is just repeating slogans given to her by the Democrat socialists. So, horrible accident, Ted. Horrible accident, yes. And I don't know that I can avoid it. I just have to talk about it. I saw the same video before you mentioned it. I saw it first thing this morning. Before I do that, I have to show you. I picked this up. I stole this from Fox. So I don't know how true this is, but this is the new DSA policy platforms. Now, I don't know if they put this out directly or this is a source. It says down here, source familiar with the DSA program. Okay. Here's their long-term, how they're going to reform our government like Obama told them to do. You know, we got to fix the government. You know what the first thing they want to do? Eliminating the U.S. Senate.
Just get rid of it.
Get rid of it, yeah. Replacing the president of the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress.
Yeah, because Congress sure moves fast.
Amnesty for all immigrants.
So anyone who's here is
Defunding the War Department.
oh, great. Great. The United States, yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of the most-
You know what? You know, the only hope we have there is China and Russia will go to war with each other, and the Muslims. All the Muslims will go to war. Who's going to come and take us? You think they could? It'll be like that movie they had where Germany controlled half of America, and Japan controlled the other half. It was like if Hitler had won.
Wow. These are not serious people. I mean,
Oh, they are. They're serious communists.
And then the problem is they're winning
They're
elections.
serious subversives.
And they're winning elections. So I'll take that back. These are serious people.
Yeah, but as we indicated before, they're winning 7% elections. They're winning 7%
of the vote, exactly. But that
There was another outrageous case of illegal aliens, all supported by up and down the Democrat Party. A Bangladesh national repeatedly re-entered the U.S. under Biden after being deported. And he was indicted for execution-style killing of his sister-in-law, whose body was found on the side of a Florida road last year. His name is Shadul Islam. Murder in the first degree on May 2nd, 2025. He slayed Monica Islam. The last thing she's seen going toward his car. She's shot in the head. She's found. He's been in and out of this country 3 times over the border. He has served a 10-month federal prison sentence for an immigration offense. And when he was released, the Biden administration didn't throw him out. If they did, she'd be alive. So we're not making it up. We're not making it up.
it's well, Mayor, I know
Are you ready?
we are ready, but maybe we go to some breaking news first.
Go ahead.
We had another ICE-involved shooting this afternoon right up the road here in Maine.
Where? In Maine.
In Maine, Biddeford, Maine. So we're just getting this. The town is.
So, no, I better be careful. I was going to make a joke.
Well, here's the video. We'll break this down for tomorrow's show, but we'll, breaking, so we expect this to get some coverage here. This is the video after he's shot, apparently.
I want to thank you very, very much. Oh, okay, go ahead. What are we looking at here?
So this is after the shooting. Let's see if we have a better video.
Why?
He's already been shot in the head, and they're dragging him to the ground here. So let's see if we can get.
And do we have the explanation for it? I hate just to show this without an explanation.
Yep, we're gonna show the. Sorry, we'll take this off. This is the end of the shooting. We're trying to get better footage of the beginning of the incident.
This took, set it up a little, Ted. This took place in Maine.
That's right. So,
And who were they looking for here?
so this was reported today. The person. So let's get this from the top. So this is from Biddeford, Maine, just south of Portland. A motorist was shot and killed by ICE officers. This individual is actually not the target of a warrant that the officers were executing. So the
He
ICE
was not.
officers, he was not. So ICE officers had a warrant.
So why did they shoot him?
Apparently, the vehicle was moving towards the.
What?
The vehicle was moving towards the
Do
ICE
we have a
agent,
picture of that?
and we're trying to get better video.
I tell you what, why don't we take a short break?
Well, here, okay.
All right, you get it ready,
Okay.
and I'm going to take a short break.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. We'll try to get you more on this shooting in Maine.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code ROOT.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back to the America's Mayor Live, 971st show. Okay. So you may have seen this already. It's been on television since this morning, but it only happened, I think, yesterday. This man was hit by a bison. His name is Carl Esom McDaniel from the state of Washington. And this happened at the Bridge Bay compound near Yellowstone Lake in Yellowstone National Park. And it happened on the 10th. Happened on the 10th. And this is a very, very strange thing. But in case you go to these parks, apparently this is the mating season. And these male bisons are all disturbed. And I think they're just looking at the bison. And he seems, to them, he seems calm, but they didn't. Now, this rolling over later on, an expert looking at this said, it shows he's very agitated the minute he rolls over like that. Now you can see him. He's starting to move, get up ahead of steam, and he's headed right for them. You thought he was going for the car, but nope. And he's going to look for the guy, and he finds him in the bushes, and he's trying to knock down a tree, and he goes in and finds him.
Oh,
Whoa!
Oh no! Oh no!
Now, Mike McLeod and the bystanders helped to scare the bison away so they didn't hit anybody else. And the park rangers got there pretty quickly. Now, Issa McDaniel suffered multiple injuries, including a broken femur and other fractures. He was airlifted to a hospital, and he initially was in critical condition. He's already undergone surgery, and he's recovering, though he is not fully out of the woods, according to family updates. But they do think he's going to survive. Will there be permanent injuries? I don't know. The only piece of information we were able to get that is at all helpful was, of all the ways he could land it, he landed in the way that would do the least damage. Look how far up in the air he goes.
Oh no! Oh, thank God he's alive. Oh, thank God he's alive.
So the experts that were on said that if you are confronted with this situation, the worst thing to do is to move particularly fast. The best thing to do is get behind something, even a tree. Now, he can knock a tree down, but he doesn't want to do that. Notice he was trying to knock the tree down. He was having trouble with it, so he went after the person instead. And why was he distracted by the person? Because the person was running and had a white shirt on or a lighter shirt on. It looks like he's originally going after the car. See? He's going after the car. That's not going to do much good hitting that car. The car gets out of the way, and then he gets distracted to the people. Now he goes looking for him because they've hidden the woods there. The man said he would have had a fighting chance had he stayed behind that tree instead of holding on to it. See, he goes away from the tree. Looks like the car is trying to get in there well, it looks like the
Didn't keep attacking him, or what did he do?
he didn't know. Apparently, the car, the photographer, who now the photographer, in his defense, because people will say, well, why did he photograph, not help him? Didn't know this was going to happen. So the photographer is taking a picture of the bison, right?
These people, they stopped
The way they're looking at him, right?
They take a picture, look, they pull out their phones.
So by the time it happens, nothing he can do.
Right. And at that point, you just put yourself in harm's way. If you run up to it, it's just gonna throw you around like a rag doll too. I guess you need a vehicle, and you need even a vehicle, right? You're not totally safe.
Well, I think they'd have been safe inside the vehicle. The vehicle was taking a lot of damage, but
So he should have stayed.
see him go. See him trying to take the tree apart.
Yeah. The man should have stayed there, they're saying?
They're saying the man should have stayed behind a tree.
Oh, instead of running?
Yeah.
Running caused it to chase him?
The running makes him the definite target. He should have stayed behind the tree, and the car should have started moving, and he might have gone for the car.
Oh, he should have gone in that. He should have gone for that car. He should have tried to get in that car. That's what you're saying.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, that's enough. And we pray for him too. We pray that he's okay and that everything works out for him. And we hope it does. So the president is going to speak on Thursday night, and we are assuming it'll be about Iran, because it sounds like he's that's about when they'll be ready for trying to take him out. The president also announced today the Freedom 500 race, which will be in August. Now that's going to be in the streets of Washington, and there's a great concern that the streets of Washington are not sufficient. Too many potholes. This is another celebration of our 250th anniversary. Never had one of these in Washington before. I remember there was an attempt to do this in Lower Manhattan, and we resisted it because we thought it would be very dangerous, actually, with the narrow streets.
Oh, they tried to do it in New York,
Yeah,
but they never.
I think we talked him out of it.
So what we're trying to find a map. They released a map of the course, so I thought that was interesting. I wanted to show that off real quick. It's set to go right downtown, right in the heart of DC. Here it is.
We're sure getting more sports than we ever did, huh?
Right.
Wow.
Here's the map: Pennsylvania Avenue down 9th Street over to 7th,
So
across Independence, back up 3rd Street.
good. Maybe they'll clean the criminals out of there. Although they have done a pretty good job in getting the criminals cleaned out of there, right?
That's right. So we'll watch for that. The president announcing today that he will be addressing the nation Thursday night.
I have an announcement of a show that's on that brings me back to my childhood. If I was a child when I was the U.S. attorney, and it's a series that's on. It's a series that's on. Are you aware of MGM Plus?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
MGM.
So it's a series that's on MGM Plus. It stars J.K. Simmons. You'll recognize J.K. Simmons because, first of all, he's a very, very prolific actor. Not like, please don't get angry, J.K., but not like a matinee idol actor, but more like a main feature actor and then more. Plus, he does an ad for one of the insurance companies, a very good one. He's an older gentleman, a very distinguished looking. He is, I don't know who he plays in this, if he plays the bad guy or us, the ones going after them. When I say us, well, let's see. I'll explain it to you. The Westies were a group of Irish criminals, similar to what they had in Boston. Irish, and the west side of Manhattan. Oh gosh, going all the way up to about 72nd Street, and going all the way down to maybe the Meat District, which was controlled by the mafia. It was Irish Catholic. You can even see the churches there that are now occupied by others. They're beautiful, beautiful churches built for very religious people. And that was one of the Irish enclaves of New York. And not necessarily the poorest. They had been at the Five Corners, the 5 Points, and they moved up there. So there was this gang called the Westies. They were way out of control, and they were more violent in general than the mafia, just not anywhere near as organized or as rich. And they controlled the west side of Manhattan. And the guy who started them back in the 30s and 40s was Mickey Spillane, not related to the writer, Mickey Spillane. And he controlled Hell's Kitchen. And what they did, the way they made their money, was very similar to the mafia, except this was their area. They would shake down the businesses for protection because they control the unions, and they would shake down the businesses, ongoing businesses. And then when they'd make their big money is when they built things, like when they built the original Madison Square Garden. And that's in the 30s. But then they were still around when they built the New York Coliseum in the 50s. Made a lot of money from that. They really had the construction industry there as theirs. It was theirs. Now, most of the mobs kept to their turf. But when they started to grow, they started to get the attention of the mafia, particularly the Gambino crime family run by Paul Castellano. And Spillane hated them. Spillane hated the Italians. It was maybe part of the Irish-Italian animosity back in those days. I mean, the Italians often would set up their own church, an Italian ethnic church, because they didn't feel they were welcome at the Irish Catholic Church. I lived in a neighborhood, even though I went ultimately to school at the Irish Catholic Church, there was a small parish called St. Blaise that was for Italians. And they're similar for Polish churches. So finally, after a long time of fighting, and when the big project called the Javits Center was going to come along, and now they could make money that would attract the mafia. The mafia said, we've had enough of it, we're going to take over. So they had a war. They had an Irish-Italian war in the 70s. And Gambino's hired a turncoat Irishman to direct the war because he would know best how to contest the Westies. His name was Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan. And they, after a course of a number of shootings and infiltrations, they cut Mickey's organization out from under him. They took it away from him. And then they shot him right in front of his apartment building where he and his family lived. No one was ever found guilty of Spillane's murder. And then a local hood named Jimmy Coonan and his right-hand man, Mickey Featherstone. You may remember, well, I remember this part really well. Took over. Coonan was a kind of crazy like the Westies were. But Featherstone was a little more balanced, a former Green Beret, believe it or not. Wow. And he was a very effective enforcer. Now, at this point, when they developed this closer relationship, it was a good one. Particularly Featherstone had a good relationship with Castellano and the Mafia guys because everybody was making money. And Mafia was comfortable with the money they were making. They liked having this extra group because they were good at hits. It may very well be that they are the people, the Westies. I always believe this, although I could never get the witness to admit it, that they helped to initiate the practice of chopping bodies up because they had a guy who preceded the Gambino guy, Vito Arena. They had a guy named Eddie the Butcher Comiskey who would chop up the bodies, and then they distribute them in the building foundation. So if you're going to find the body, you have to dig up the whole building and get it out of the cement if it's still there. They didn't throw it in the water so it would come up. And Eddie the Butcher would do this. They were so bad that some of the other people in the Mafia just wouldn't deal with them. Like Fat Tony Salerno said, he's part of that. Tony Salerno said, they're effing crazy. I'm not going to go near them.
Too crazy for even
that. Yeah, you got to have control over this, meaning control over the violence. I remember this guy went to jail for 100 years for murder. Tony, I put him in jail for 100 years for murder. So the Butcher used to break down the human bodies as if they were cows or pigs.
Disgusting.
Now, 1985, I was the U.S. attorney. I became U.S. attorney in 83. This was in my jurisdiction. Construction began wrapping up on the Javits Center. They had already taken a lot of money out. They made the mistake of killing an innocent construction worker, possibly a mistake, possibly not, near the front entrance. Featherstone had fallen out with Coonan because Coonan wasn't giving him his fair share, which is the usual bullshit, right?
Heavy toll.
That's right.
And Featherstone was charged and convicted of murdering this guy. The case was overturned, but before it was overturned, he decided to turn state's evidence. And he gave up the whole gang to undercover work done by a hungry young prosecutor by the name of Rudy Giuliani, who put together a Westies task force with the NYPD.
Rudy!
While Giuliani took the template devised for the Westies and applied it then to the Italian machine, which he then also took down. It's a little simplistic. It really, the template was not, it's wrong and right. It wasn't, we didn't say, oh, we're going to test it out on the Westies. We had to get the Westies anyway. They were, in some ways, they were more immediately dangerous than the Mafia. The Mafia was more dangerous on a national and international scale. But it did provide a testing ground for a lot of the law that was very helpful then in the massive 10 defendants, 10 defendants in these Westie cases. So the Pizza Connection case was 28. And here's good old Paul. The Javits Convention on the West Side has long hosted all-American events like Comic-Con. But during the construction in the early 1980s, organized crime figures, including Genevieve's boss Paul Castellano, sank their hooks in and got rich off the unions. And a lot of people, and as they say, from the expression from The Godfather, Castellano wanted to wet his beak. He didn't just wet his beak. He had major meals on them. And they ended up with a very, very fortuitous business arrangement after they had been fighting with each other. And had we not gotten fortunate and been undercover work, we would never, I don't think it would have been hard to get them.
Right.
Well, let's see if we got everything covered that we have to cover. The president's still deciding on the F-35 sale to Turkey, very much opposed by John McCain. Isn't that something? Well, you know, I associate the two of them together. They were together so much. Lindsey Graham would be very opposed to selling to Turkey. He does not have a very good view of Erdogan, or did not have a very good view of Erdogan. The president has made clear that the strikes are going to continue. So I think we're going to get sort of that probably going to be true until he makes his talk, and then we'll find out what the end result is. And the Wall Street Journal seems 80% convinced that the president has now changed his position on both Iran and Ukraine. And we'll see what happens in terms of taking over for Lindsey. The decision of Henry McMaster and the president was very wise to put Lindsey's sister in as an interim senator, because this way you don't. It can be a pretty quick election. You don't interfere with the political process, right?
Right.
And you let that work itself out. So we will keep up on this, see what happens. It's still hard to accept. And we'll see what kind of strikes take place tonight if they haven't taken place already. They get reported kind of late. And there's got to be a breaking point here. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much. Pray for the repose of the soul. The repose of the soul of Lindsey Graham. As we said, let the angels greet him. Lindsey did a lot for his country, and Lindsey had a deep faith. I'm sure he's at peace now. And I'm sure he's looking over us. And I know what he's praying for. Keep his soldiers safe. That was his number one priority. Pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of Iran. Pray for us that we sustain our loss and are able to deal with it. And pray for the President of the United States. He lost a good friend, God. It's hard. And take care of our friend Lindsey. We'll see you tomorrow night. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,